Are you feeling a little lost or uninspired? Ready to add some serious sparkle to your life? Welcome to Coaching for Millennials, the podcast where we ditch the blah and say yes to your dreams. I'm your host, Jose Miguel Longo, a proud gay Hispanic husband, a dog dad, and a social justice warrior. For over a decade, I've been a career and life coach, helping folks like you uncover their passion and write their own career stories. Whether you're a Gen Xer, a Gen Y, or a Gen Z, this is your go-to guide for crafting a killer resume, finding your calling, and taking charge of your life. We'll dive deep and hold each other accountable and build a roadmap that leads you to a life that truly lights you up. So if you're ready to turn your fantasy into reality, tune in. It's time to unleash your passion because your purpose is waiting. This is Coaching for Millennials, and we're about to make some serious magic happen. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Coaching for Millennials. I am your host, Jose Miguel Longo, and I am excited to be here this week with a new episode for you. I have had so many things going on in the last week since I left you. If you noticed, there was no episodes released at all last week. And there's a very good reason for that, which I will get into not this week, but next week. Some really great things are happening around this block, and I'm just really excited for all the big changes that are taking place in my life personally and in my career, and so many amazing opportunities coming my way. I'm very grateful and feel very fortunate and blessed that I have such great connections, but also that I've positioned myself to really have open to receive in the most powerful way possible. And I know it sounds super vague, but if you know me at any given point, you know that sometimes life serves you bad lemons and you have to make the best with what you have with those lemons and squeeze as much lemonade, even though that lemon might be bitter, more bitter than what it is. So I'm just in a release season of embracing what I have in front of me and leading into that with grace, but also a lot of emotional intelligence. So I say that with more to come and being proactive and being positive about what's in front of me. There's lots to cover today in today's episode. Reason being is that I'm making a shift. Hold on. My microphone, I tell you, I have moments where I'm positioned this microphone in a certain way and it's great all the time. And then I happen to move it out from in front of me over to where it sits 90% of the time when I'm recording, and it just moves. So it's on me. But lots to talk about today. I'm going to kick off first with saying that we are pivoting here at Coaching for Millennials just a tad bit. I know that a couple of weeks ago, I had initially reintroduced the cadence of 2 episodes a week due to changes that are happening in my career, my life. I cannot sustain doing 2 episodes a week. I have to manage all the projects that I'm working and making room for other ones while still showing up for the community and still showing up for what is important to me. So I had to make the decision to pull back a little bit in doing 2 episodes a week and just doing 1. So we're coming back to 1 episode a week every Wednesday. Please stay tuned. Please subscribe. Please follow. If you don't know, we have a YouTube channel. You can search for it at Coaching for Millennials. We also have our TikTok channel, which is also Coaching for Millennials. And we have an Instagram where you can go search for at Coaching for Millennials, or you can follow me at Jose Miguel Longo. So I wanted to make sure I said that from the get-go so that if people were like, this dude just continuously disappears, where is he at? You know what's going on. And I will share next week more about what is going on and the reason for this pivot and why I have to make space. So I want to kick off our intro here for what this episode is so that I can get into it, because I have a lot to cover and I have some shout outs to give, because I never really follow a lot of people on social media as it relates to content. I don't search for it. It sometimes just comes up in my algorithm. And Obviously, we all have some form of social media in our lives. And depending on how you use social media, your algorithm could be really aggressive with what you search or what you like. And sometimes it serves you based on what you're changing up in your search or your posts. So I'm finally starting to see millennials showing up on my feed after I don't know how many years of me posting millennial content. But full transparency, when I decided to launch the podcast as its own Instagram account, I had to pivot to make my personal Instagram account less about coaching for millennials and more about me so that I can distinguish the two and direct people in that direction. What has happened with the at coaching for millennials Instagram account is that I've been using that as a tool to promote old episodes of the podcast to increase audio viewership and listenership. I'm trying to build a strong community with listeners to get more folks to follow the podcast while I'm recording a series of episodes. A lot of this is called evergreen marketing. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I will talk more about that at some point in the future. But ultimately, I don't want to spread myself too thin. So I have to be creative in how I'm coming up to show up for everybody and showing up in all the different places. And my ADHD brain wants to do a lot of things and I want to do them well, but I also want to do them and be mindful of who I'm supporting, where I'm showing up, how I'm spending my time and what I'm doing. My shirt says unstoppable for a reason. I always feel like we as a generation, as millennials, have always shown up for ourselves fearlessly, but don't recognize that we're doing it. And so this episode particularly is focused on, if you're someone who is feeling stuck in life, this is the clarity gap millennials face, right? We go through moments and spurs of our life based on what's in our environment that we don't always have the clarity to understand where it's coming from and why it's happening. And I'm seeing that happening in my feed. I'm seeing that happening in my feed with conversations. Someone that has created this awareness for me. And, sometimes all of this lives rent free in my head and I don't know where to find it or put it. I'm like, is someone else thinking about this the way that I think about it? And there are people. There's actually someone, her name is Jillian Gerhardt. It's spelled Gerhardt. Her Instagram handle is Jillian Gerhardt, JILLINGERHARDT. She is known as the millennial baddie. So I want to give her a shout out for kind of showing up on my feed randomly, but also like just the genuine conversation that she has in an audience. She's created a huge following. I love her content. She's a girl mom of 3. So here for that. Blue collar wife. Love to hear that too. And millennials are just a generation that is always going to get shit for so many things. But as we're getting older, we're seeing other generations. We got the Gen Z, we got the Gen Alpha coming up. And I don't want to position them in the same position that we were in. I want to scoop them up and lift them up and have them feel like they're taken care of. So, how can we prevent the same narrative that was created for us based on how we were growing up in our generation and not have it be the chaos that we were ensued with? Like, we obviously know that Gen Zs have a very different way of life. They had all the things that were considered internet technology, laptops when they were, cell phones when they were 10, and all this other stuff. And that's great, but we didn't have that. And so we still have to create clarity for ourselves in our lives. So before I jump into like, what does that all mean and where am I coming from with that? I want to dive into my weekly, call it weekly now, my weekly segment of what I'm liking, what I'm listening to, and what to look out for. Also, my dogs are here with me. My office door is open, which is office studio, which is never the case when I'm recording. But my babies, I have 2 golden doodles. If you don't know, follow me on Instagram. You'll see them pop up every so often. My babies are here with me because I am doing laundry and they normally hang out in the bedroom, which is across from my office. And Eastwood, which is the black one whose head keeps popping up over here, is like, bitch, where's my bed? I want to go lay in my bed. And so because the door is closed, because I don't want her to lay on the bed that's not made, she's here hanging out. And so if you hear a dog bark or you hear a shake of a collar, you know what it is. They just ran away. So either someone's here or something is happening. So you may hear noises in the background. So I apologize in advance. So what am I liking? I just binged with my husband the 3rd season of The Night Agent. God, it's such a well-produced series. Every season, I, like, can't wait to watch it because I know that I'm in for a tremendous storyline that, like, is delivering in the best way possible. I never thought that this season would end the way that it did. I almost thought for a minute that as it was getting to close to the end, that this was the last season, but I'm so glad that we're likely going to get more. And I love the character development that we're seeing with the main characters that keep presenting themselves. There's obviously some consistency there, but also that it's always something new, and how poignant it is also to what we're seeing in our politics here in America kind of playing out, and also its course in other countries as well. I'm not sure if, I think politics is one of those things that is always going to be topic of conversation. We as millennials have to embrace that it can't just be something we pretend doesn't exist or we can't talk about it together. We kind of have to talk about it because it's impacting our lives and the future of our children. I don't have any kids, but I have nieces and nephews. Their future is going to be impacted by the decisions that are being made today and how our country is being run and operated. So I think she knows. There needs to be a conversation about it. So I'm loving that series. It's on Netflix, Night Agent. Go check it out. What am I listening to? I still got my girl Hillary Duff on replay, but I also want to say that BB Rexa came out with an EP last week, which has been pretty good and has been mixed into my playlist. So I'm enjoying that. God, I got a itchy nose. Allergy season. And it has been good to see her come out with something fresh, although I feel like she's always, reinventing some form of dance music. I love that she found a genre that really speaks to her, and she has a community with the EDM queers or EDM gays, however you want to identify them. Hey, and that she's always living her best life. So here for BB Rexa. But Hillary Duff was just on Jimmy Fallon on Monday. I was like, I have to watch it. I stopped everything that I was doing and I was watching it. She looks stunning. I love that she performed. Was it Roommates? I think it was Roommates. And just the fact that we're getting so much music from her and that she's showing up for us, kids here from the early 2000s, and how real she is and how about candid she is. It's so needed in this world that people like her who kind of like fade out because they decide to do something different with their lives. And she went and had her family and was doing that for 10 years. Obviously, she did, Youngers in the same process while that was going on, which if you didn't see Youngers, you're missing out. You're ruining your life. Go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's on Netflix. I believe it should be on TV Land. That's where it originally came from. Such a good series. 6 seasons, I think it was. Darren Star, who was one of the creators of Sex and the City, produced and created this show. So, and it's also based on a book. I actually have the book. Really good book too. Okay, what to look out for? My bestie and I, her name is Leslie Obando. She is oh my God, Verizon's calling me. Sorry. She is a very introverted person. And I'm the extrovert. She's the introvert. And we have been obsessing since December on our obsession of Overheated Rivalry. And in January, when she finally started to watch the show, we actually decided to create a podcast to rewatch our shows that we love and to kind of share with the world our viewpoint of how we saw the show and have a banter with each other about it. So, with Heated Rivalry being as the kickoff for the podcast, we actually called the podcast based on our love for the series, Heated Reverence. So, we haven't dropped episodes yet. We are currently in production right now. I can tell you that everything we've done, I am loving. I am so excited to have another podcast where I get to banter with a bestie, but also have a conversation with somebody else. And it's not just always me. Yes, I have guests on this podcast on Coaching for Millennials, but it's such a beautiful thing to be able to have a conversation where it's someone else who you can volley off of. So here for that. Go check out Heated Reverence Podcast on Instagram. Go check out Heated Reverence Podcast on YouTube, because that is where we'll be dropping stuff. We're working on getting a TikTok. I don't know what the hell's going on with TikTok right now, but we're going to keep our social media tight because we know where our audience is. Our next series that we'll be covering is The Bear. Now, Leslie has watched The Bear already. I've never seen it. So I'll be jumping into that here in the coming weeks as we get ready to record The Bear as part of our next series that we're going to be rewatching and recapping. So stay tuned for that, but please go watch, give us some love. Heated Reverence podcast on Instagram and Heated Reverence podcast on YouTube. All right, so let's jump into this episode. Ultimately, when you're feeling stuck, if anybody has ever said that phrase, out loud, um, feeling stuck sucks, right? And the biggest thing about that is that I want to give you some love, but also tell you how to get unstuck, right? Give you some clarity. So, feeling stuck is not failing. You're not in crisis, you're just stuck. And sometimes we need someone or something or somewhere to feel like we're heard, but also getting a sense of clarity. And what I'm going to unpack for you today is called the clarity gap. And the reason it's called the clarity gap is because many millennials are not stuck because they're incapable. They're stuck because they don't have clarity. And the biggest problem here is that, we go to school, we get a degree, we get a job, we work hard. And this is where the idea came from because I was watching what Jillian had been, mentioning on her channel, the things that we grew up with and the chaos that we had in our lives and other things that we face with. And, any other millennial who is on social media talking like this, show up on my feed. Please follow me. I'm here for it. Open to a conversation. Let's do a podcast episode together. I want to talk about all the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's disheartening when we don't have like a rule book of, how we're supposed to live and manage our lives. And there's no one else out there to tell us or help us how to do it. And the good thing is that, for all of you, I've been coaching for over a decade now. I was doing coaching before coaching was the tag line for what we do. I've been doing it as a career coach and a life coach. And I don't say this to make anybody feel like, being stuck is a good thing. There's a lot that can come from being stuck that's good. But I always enjoy connecting with someone who's stuck because it gives me the opportunity to have an impact in their lives. So the biggest thing is that we've built a roadmap that was basically told of how we should be doing the things that we're doing. We're told to go to school. We're told to get a job. We're told to go to school, get a degree, get a job, work hard, and build stability for ourselves. But that roadmap sometimes just has no other road to go through. And either we're going in a U-turn or in a circle, and there's no other fork. And obviously, in that timing of all that, the world has changed significantly. We're seeing depressions in the economy. We're seeing a financial crisis. We're seeing wars. We're seeing, technology accelerate certain things. We're seeing our entire career path sometimes disappear. We're having to pivot in our careers. So millennials did everything we were told to do and still found ourselves asking the same questions. Why do we feel so misaligned? And the reality is that I can share you some examples of why. Someone who's built stability in their life and a stable career who then realizes that they're emotionally disconnected from their work, it doesn't equate feeling like you're not successful or that you're not successful. It just means that on paper, you look like you're successful, but in other versions and aspects of your life, you're feeling stuck. And the reality is that the world that we're living in is not the same version of success that you had envisioned for your life up to where you are now. Now you have to redefine and rewrite that success in a different chapter. We have to create that new chapter for ourselves. And we have to reflect and recognize that sometimes what we think we want and we're doing is just coasting, but we have to then get into our feelings a little bit to then be able to come out on the pretty mess on the other side of that. So feeling stuck, doesn't just happen. Feeling stuck doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you're overloaded. It means that you're balancing something that you're quite not sure how to continue to balance. And here's the balance that millennials are carrying: career growth, financial pressures, family expectations, mental health. Where do I even begin with that one? And personal development. And these are a lot of competing priorities. Some of them are ones that everyone can raise their hand for. Some of them are ones that we can only raise our hands for one. But no matter where you are in that journey, if you're a millennial, and even if you're not a millennial, this is a hard thing to kind of have to process. So someone who wants to change careers but feels trapped because of student loans or financial responsibilities, hey, that's not lacking ambition. It's because you haven't had the opportunity to have the space or the room to experiment of where do you pivot to. So instead of moving forward, you freeze. And that's where the clarity gap comes in. So how do we move from this clarity space to actually making action and taking change? So a lot of people have a myth that they believe in. They think that I have to figure out everything before I take action. But clarity rarely works that way. Clarity usually works after movement, right? You have to actually do something to see that, oh, this is a really good thing for me. I'm actually doing something to make the change. You have to get messy with it. You have to lean into the courage of it all and actually put it into your life so you can see if it's worth the time and the energy to then see what it looks like on the other end. Here's an example. Someone starts exploring a side interest, volunteering, learning a new skill, or networking in a different industry. They don't have a full plan yet, but they're experimenting. And then they start to see new possibilities. So in that time, there's a small action of that creates clarity. Perhaps it's not a perfect plan, which rarely plans are perfect, but it gives you the opportunity to take small steps to see what actions you're taking. You have the opportunity to either define if this is aligning to your values and interest, and then making another move to closely getting closer to where you want to be and where you want to go. Very simple. Start to think of the framework of how do you look at what's in front of you and the things that are interesting to you and take one small step. I saw an Instagram video of someone who had said that they had lost their job 3 months ago. And they've been getting a lot of people asking them. They're 43, so they're millennial. They've been getting a lot of questions of people asking them, what's their plan? What are they going to do next? It's a video of this person skateboarding and saying, this is what I'm doing. I've worked my ass off to get to where I was. I've had jobs where I've spent my time and my energy focusing on everybody else to build someone else's success and never build mine. That to me was like, wow, so empowering. Love that message. You have to really look at yourself sometimes and really take the moment to say, yes, I'm feeling stuck, but I don't want you to think that you're failing. It means that you're growing. And how do you grow within your own identity? You have to evolve with that. You have to lean into, I've been in uncomfortable spaces, but now how do I make these moves? So taking that moment that's called a transition period or before the pivot of getting uncomfortable, allow the growth to happen. So here's where I want to leave you for today and really what I want to have as a conversation that really hopefully resonates with you. I want you to take 10 minutes and write down 3 things. What energizes you? What drains you? And what are you curious about exploring? Those 3 questions alone can begin to close the clarity gap. And if you're navigating a season where you're feeling stuck in life or uncertain about your direction, that's exactly why I work with millennials inside my coaching practice. So if you want to learn more, and if you want to get the help you need, perhaps in taking the next step in creating an action plan in your clarity work, reach out to me. Send me a message on Instagram at Jose Miguel Longo, or send me a message at Coaching for Millennials. Reach out to me via email at hello@coachingwithjosemiguel.com. My website is not up and running. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm working on recreating the website because I have made pivots, and some exciting news on that front is that I am now certified. I don't know if that is the word, but the Better Business Bureau approved my accreditation. So I'm accredited with the Better Business Bureau, which is super exciting. So I'm using their resources to rebuild my website and landing pages, but I'm here. Please connect with me, please reach out. And if there's someone who, comes to mind that you think you should be listening to this, please send the podcast to them. Please share it with them because a lot of people feel stuck right now. And, I know what that's like, and it's horrible. It eats you up. It makes you feel stressed. It creates anxiety. And there's all these different elements of life that it's just too precious to live that way. So I'm here to support. I'm here to help. I hope this episode brought you some reflection and brought you an opportunity to connect. Shout out to Jillian Gerhardt for all her work on Instagram. Girl, I would love to have a conversation with you. I vibe off of your energy. But until the next episode, friends, I hope you have a wonderful week and have a wonderful week and the best of luck with the rest of your day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care soon. Peace. Hey, amazing listener. If today's episode sparks some inspiration, don't keep it to yourself. Share the magic with your friends. And hey, if you're feeling the love, head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show and leave us a review. Your words fuel, fire, and help this community grow. Want to hear more about a specific topic? Have a burning question? Swing by coachingformillennials.com for the latest blogs, newsletter, and all things coaching. We're building a world where dreams become reality, one episode at a time. Thanks for being part of it. Can't wait to catch you into the next episode. Until then, all my love, light and shine.